What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode today of the My Player Career Mode here on FIFA 18. We're continuing Ben's journey, and as we kickstart today's episode off, as I said to you in the previous one, he's not going to be picked for the last 3 games of the season because mathematically, Ipswich could not be caught. They couldn't fall out of the playoffs. So playoffs secured. Basically, the manager made his decision, said that Ben would not be playing, doesn't want to risk injury to his I guess, star midfielder, if you can call him that. And so he told him he wasn't going to be picked for the final 3 games of the season. So as you saw there, we had to look at the calendar and sim through the games. And as you saw, the results pop up on the screen. It had no relevance whatsoever because I think mathematically Ipswich had at least secured a 5th place spot. So the only way they was going to get anything better was by getting into 3rd place and playing against a 6th place one. So pretty much, they were looking at a 4th or a 5th place spot, even if that happened. So in these playoffs then, guys, we will be able to see whether or not Ipswich will be going up to the Premier League, or if, sadly, the last year has been a bit of a waste in terms of getting results, I guess. So we'll see if Ipswich have got the capability to get themselves promoted. Of course, it has no relevance to Ben whatsoever because at the end of this season, he'll be going back to Wolverhampton Wanderers, where he will most likely be moving on in terms of a new club, because it would be stupid to see Ben playing Championship football again next season, as he's had such a good first year in this one. So here we go, guys, the first game of the playoffs then, and it is going to be Middlesbrough, the opponents on this, I guess, double leg, if you will. If you don't know how the playoffs work for whatever reason, you play a double leg semi, and then you play the final, which is just one single game. So, of course, we've got 2 games guaranteed here to come against Middlesbrough, and then depending on results, we may move through to that final, and we'll see if we do who is going to make up the other half of that final. So 18 minutes into game number 1. Of course, playoffs have a different type of atmosphere. The first games are always a bit nervy. You're trying to, I guess, work out your opponent and trying to see what they're going to do. And Middlesbrough actually started the game off very brightly indeed. That chance there, luckily, was blocked from an Ipswich player. Otherwise, it might have been 1-0. But 27 minutes in, I had to give major credit to Ben's teammates here, especially McGoldrick, because that is not an easy finish whatsoever. And he made it look so simple. So massive credit there to McGoldrick. 8 minutes onto the clock, Middlesbrough 0, Ipswich 1. And the best bit about this was that Ipswich were the away side. So technically, this has, I guess, a little bit more pressure in the aspect that they're playing away from home. So it comes down to the fact of, can they do it? You know, we've looked at Middlesbrough and we've looked at Ipswich. I looked at both teams, and on paper, they were very similar. The players that Middlesbrough had, the players that Ipswich had, they were very evenly matched. But to be honest with you, the way that Ipswich have played all season long, you would suggest that they just simply didn't have enough in the locker to be able to win games. And that's something that we've seen. They've drawn a lot of games this year. So to see us go 1-0 up there, 29 minutes in, and Ben not even be part of the chance itself was quite surprising, to say the least. And it could have got even better for us here, 79 minutes into it. And Middlesbrough basically defending with their lives at this stage. So remember, there is still a second leg, though, guys, so anything that happens in the first does not mean Middlesbrough will be out. But that goal right there could well have sent them out of these playoffs. It was a very lucky goal from Ipswich, and it was a bit disappointing from the goalkeeper. Ben played the pass through to McGoldrick, who had an excellent game, actually, and he just sends his effort, a lot of power behind it, towards the goal. Keeper gets a strong hand to it, but he does not keep it out. He can only push it into the back of the net. So disappointing if you're a Middlesbrough fan, because, you know, for your goalkeeper to do that in a big game like this, he's never going to be nice, especially when you consider that he's a long way out, is McGoldrick there. So, in my opinion, I believe the keeper should have done better. What do you guys say? Do you think the keeper should have done better with that one? Let me know in the comments below. But for Ben and Ipswich, this was the perfect start to these playoffs, guys. And, yeah, it was very strange to see Ipswich controlling a game and also scoring twice, potentially to win. The fans were loving it. Look at that, guys. And for anybody wondering, of course, we do play these games on World Class. We did play Legendary originally. But as you guys said in the comments below, it makes the games a little bit more boring and nothing really happens as much. So you guys asked me to bump it back down to World Class. So that's the reason why it's on World Class. So yeah, I saw a couple of comments asking me what kind of, what rating we play it on. So yeah, to anybody wondering, World Class is the rating we play. So the other Championship playoff then, guys, was Sheffield Wednesday, who finished 6th, and also Leeds, who finished in 3rd place. So it's looking, if you're looking at form throughout the season, as though it could be Leeds in that final. But of course, it doesn't matter about form. It matters who wins over the two legs, and anything can happen, basically. Football is one of those weird sports. It's a bit like you look at things, and I remember, of course, if you follow rugby league, similar type of thing. You build up the entire season, you place well in the league, but then it all comes down to the final game, I guess, which is, of course, what happened in real life this year. Castleford Tigers playing Leeds, and it ended up being Leeds winning, even though Castleford actually won the league throughout the entire season. So, similar type of thing here, guys. You can play as well as you want. You can finish in third place and get in the top spot of the playoffs, or you can finish in sixth place, and the sixth place team can go on to win the entire thing and get promotion. So, it really does not matter here, as we're about to take on Borough for the second of these two games here. And it's going to be interesting, this one, because now Middlesbrough have to come out and start playing. They can't sit back. They have to go on the front foot from minute one. And I'm just curious to see whether or not Ipswich have the capability to absorb pressure and hit on the break. That's going to be the important thing about this game here. And 15 minutes into it, the home leg for Ipswich, it could have started off so well for them. McGoldrick again into Wood. Back to McGoldrick, who's looking to continue his good goal-scoring form, but this time the keeper denies him with a decent save. And into the second half we go now. Middlesbrough realised that they had to throw the kitchen sink at Ipswich Town now, and they were running out of time to do so as Baker gets in behind here. Lovely cut back, feeds it to the unmarked man in the middle, and that is a very tidy finish indeed. So 25 minutes to go. Howson has just made the score 1-0 to Middlesbrough, making it 2-1 on aggregate. It's going to make it a very nervy last 25 minutes for Ipswich now. Can they hold on to this game, absorb the pressure, and get through to that final of the playoffs? Because 25 minutes to go against the run of play, I guess you could say. Middlesbrough never really in the game until that stage. Luckily, Ipswich were able to hold on to it, and they did come away with a defeat on the last game, in the second leg at home, but ultimately a victory over the two legs. The 2 goals from McGoldrick in the first leg, helping to get through to the final of the playoffs. As I said, that second goal from McGoldrick was a big one, and it was a disappointing goalkeeping save, I guess you could say. So, it is what it is. Middlesbrough, I guess, disheartened. They've seen their work over the last year come to an end today in this game here, whereas Ipswich, their journey continues on. Can they get the victory in the final and get themselves into the Premier League for next season? Remember, as I said earlier, Ben's not going to be an Ipswich player, so if he does go to a Premier League club next year, he could well be playing against Ipswich, or for that matter, the other team that comes up from the playoffs, if it is going to be another team. As you can see there, Leeds and Sheff Wednesday playing out a 1-1 draw, which actually made it 1-1 on aggregate, because if you remember back, they ended up with a 0-0 draw in Sheffield Wednesday's home leg. So, at the moment as it stands, I do believe, I'm pretty sure that, I guess, away goals counted in playoffs. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think they do. Anyways, regardless of that, the team that did make it through were actually Sheff Wednesday. So it will be an Ipswich versus Sheff Wednesday final at Wembley. That's going to be an interesting game, to say the least. But right there, guys, some news from Ben. It is from the England FA, and it is from the international, I guess, it's a letter from the international governing body. But the best thing about this, guys, is I asked you guys a few episodes ago, should Ben be on the plane to Russia? Does he deserve a spot? And a lot of you guys are saying yes. A lot of you are saying they shouldn't pick from what Ben is playing. They should pick it from quality. And I can confirm Ben has been given a spot on that plane going to Russia. That's the England team that was called up, guys. As you can see there, the goalkeepers Jack Butland, Hart and Tom Heaton, with the defenders Kyle Walker, Michael Keane, Eric Dyer, Danny Rose, Luke Shaw, Gary Cahill, Nathaniel Klein. Midfielders Jordan Henderson, Adam Lallana, Marcus Rashford. Ben Wood is in the midfielders. Dele Alli and Ross Barkley in there as well, though. So those are the 2 players that he's most likely going to have to fight to get some game time against in the, I guess, the World Cup in Russia. But there might be a little life for you guys to vote on. You don't have to vote on this, guys. It's completely, I guess, optional. Like, it's just a little bit of a curious, question. If you were the England manager, now that you know Ben has, in fact, been called up, would you start Ben, or would you start Dele Alli or Ross Barkley? Those are the 3 options, guys. If you were England manager, and we're going to Russia in the World Cup in the next couple of episodes, because, of course, once we end this one here, we'll know what has happened and how the season is finished. But for you guys, in the comment section, who would you start in Russia 2018 World Cup? Dele Alli, Ben Wood, or Ross Barkley in that cam role? Let me know down below, guys. So, in terms of this game now, guys, away from the internationals, Ben still has a job to do for Ipswich Town here, because although he's had some great news himself, being told that he's going to be playing in Russia in 2018, or at least in the team to be selected, he now has to have one more game in an Ipswich Town shirt. So can he be the hero for Ipswich Town to get them through to the Premier League? And he didn't start off great, giving the ball away there inside the first couple of minutes, but he continues his run here, gets there ahead of the goalkeeper, and just like that, it is Ipswich 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. 5 minutes into this final, you always say to yourself, or you're always told, that your big players need to step up in finals, and that's exactly what Ben did there. Didn't rest on his laurels, he played the pass out wide, continued his run straight through the middle, and you'll see from this angle, guys, he completely mishits this. There is no clean connection whatsoever, but luckily he gets enough on it to get there ahead of the goalkeeper and put it in the back of the net. He just scuffed at it, and it somehow still went in. You can say the keeper again, really dodgy decision making. He must have thought Ben was not going to reach that ball, but with all his might he stretched out, did enough to do it, and it is Ipswich Town 1, Sheff Wednesday 0. 38 minutes on the clock now. Sheff Wednesday, of course, this is just one game. There is not two legs in this one, so they have to try and get themselves back in this, but it doesn't help when you're conceding a second, as McGoldrick, lovely play, gets in behind, and that is just a tidy finish indeed. So that's 3 goals now for McGoldrick in 3 games in these playoffs. That's crazy. Great return from him. He's having an absolute stormer of an episode so far. Great turn, hits it with his second touch after taking a very good first touch, and just like that, Ipswich look to be on the verge of heading to the Premier League, and that could be a story in its own. How cool would it be, guys, if Ipswich gets the Prem, re-signed Ben Wood as their star man to take them up in that Premier League? Of course, it's not going to happen because Ipswich don't have the funding to be able to afford Ben, so it looks as if his journey with Ipswich is going to come to an end in this episode here. But of course, he's still got a lot to enjoy. He's still got to go to the World Cup in 2018 in Russia, and then potentially move club away from Wolves to someone big. We'll see what happens in a future episode. But massive miss there from Sheff Wednesday as it hit the post from Boyd. That could have been the goal they needed to get themselves back in this one. Second half begins. Wood picks up the ball there, steals it from the man, gets through. He's got a 2-on-2 situation. McGoldrick giving him an outlet pass, but in the end, he just didn't need it. But truth be told, I have no idea why McGoldrick didn't make a more convincing run. You can see him there. What is he doing? He needs to get into the edge of the area, like in the middle of the box. There's no way that Wood is going to be able to find him from behind there. But luckily, the goalkeeper just is basically non-existent. And I had to show you this, guys, just to show you I am playing with a CPU gameplay on 60 goalkeeper ability, and the keeper's still doing that. That's sensational. He's not even on default. He's on better than default, and he still doesn't make the save look convincing. And that is why Ipswich ended up with a 3-0 win, and they are on with a first-class ticket to the Premier League. And it has been such a good first season for Ben, shining in this Ipswich team, but most importantly as well, achieving victory with them. You know, it's not going to be easy, this. It never will be easy in football. To have to play in a final and, you know, playing games like this, I'm sure there's going to be many more finals for Ben to come. But surely your first final must be such a nerve-wracking experience. But he stepped up. Let's put it that way. He stepped up massively. He showed his quality, showed what he can do on the ball. He got 2 goals today, and he was just an all-round beast all day long there. So you can see him stood in front of Smith, as this is going to be his final game in Ipswich colours, potentially, unless he does get a move back to Ipswich for the next season. But of course, it doesn't matter, because if he goes to a Premier League club, he might be meeting Ipswich next year as well. So we'll have to see if he celebrates against them. So regardless, guys, as the rest of the boys relish this and really did enjoy their time lifting the playoff trophy. Ben is involved, of course, but he has to make sure that he's going to keep his mindset going, and he has to stay fit because he has to go to Russia and feature in the national team. So the end of the season isn't here for him. It might be for the rest of the lads. They can go off celebrating, but Ben still has a job to do because he has to now go over and play with England. So, yeah, no rest for the wicked if you are Ben Wood. But I'm sure he will enjoy it no matter what happens in Russia. So there you go, boys. Ipswich Town are the playoff champions. They find their way through to the Premier League. It's his final game in Ipswich colours, and that should be where he ends off his time here with Ipswich. It'll be interesting to see which kind of teams do come in for him, if any, in the next window when he goes back to Wolves to hand in his transfer request. So we'll see if A, it's accepted, and B, who is willing to pay the big bucks to bring Ben over. And I'm sure if he has a good World Cup, you're going to have a lot of people, I guess, circling around him. So that's probably going to be the most important thing, is having a good World Cup. And then if he has a good World Cup, it means that way these bigger teams are not going to be as hesitant to take a risk on him. So important games coming up for him in those World Cup. But that is going to be where we end today's episode off, guys. As you can see there, 9.1 match rating in this playoff final. And for some reason, it actually showed you that we'd reached 20 goals, but we actually haven't. We're on 19 for the season, or rather Ben is anyway. So that's not too bad either in all competitions. So as we end the episode off, guys, I will show you who is in the group stage for this World Cup. You can see all the groups in full in a moment's time when I'm flicking through them. Put it quickly, it is England, Finland, Australia and Chile in England's group. And you can see as I'm scrolling through the other ones who is in which particular one themselves. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, guys. Thank you so much as well for your continued support. Season 1 done. There is big things coming for Ben in Season 2. Make sure you guys stay tuned. It's some important stuff to come. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you all again at 4 p.m. UK time tomorrow, right here on this channel, as per usual. See you all then, guys. Catch you tomorrow. Adios!